The day my father signed a DNR was the day he unknowingly signed away everything. My father chose money over life. 72 hours later, he had neither. I saw her again on a cold evening in November. The sky was heavy with grey clouds, and the wind moved slowly through the empty hospital parking lot. The world felt quiet. Too quiet. Like it was holding its breath. She was standing near the entrance, her coat wrapped tightly around her. Black coat. Red scarf. Her hair longer than I remembered. She hadn't changed. And yet she had. 7 years. 7 years since I walked away. Our eyes met the way lightning meets the ground. Sudden, dangerous, unforgettable. For a second, neither of us moved. The glass doors behind her opened and closed with soft mechanical sounds, but around us, there was silence. "Daniel," she whispered. My name sounded different in her voice. Softer. Older. Emily. The wind brushed between us like an invisible wall. She looked at me the way people look at ghosts. Maybe I was one. I had returned to this city for one reason only. My father was inside that building, lying in a hospital bed, breathing through machines he hated. The same man who once said weakness was expensive. He had signed a Do Not Resuscitate form. To save money. Even thinking about it made my jaw tighten. Emily shifted her weight. Her fingers trembled slightly, though I couldn't tell if it was from the cold or from me. "I didn't know you were back," she said. "I wasn't supposed to be." There were 1,000 questions in her eyes. None of them reached her lips. 7 years ago, I left without saying goodbye. Without explaining. Without fighting for her. But the truth was heavier than pride. And some truths are buried because they destroy everything. The hospital lights flickered on as evening fell darker. The reflection of us in the glass looked like strangers standing too close to a past they never finished. "I heard about your dad," she said carefully. Of course she did. In small towns, news spreads like smoke. I nodded once. She opened her mouth like she wanted to say more. Maybe ask why. Maybe ask if I ever stopped loving her. But she didn't. And neither did I. Because if she knew the real reason I left, if she knew what my father had done, she would understand why forgiveness was impossible. The wind picked up again. A loose paper scraped across the pavement between us. 7 years ago, my father made a choice that destroyed my future. Now he had made another. And this time, I wasn't walking away. Inside that hospital room, a signature was drying on paper. And in exactly 72 hours, everything he built would collapse. The automatic doors slid open behind us with a soft hiss. Emily stepped inside first. I followed. The hospital hallway smelled like disinfectant and regret. White walls. White lights. Everything too clean. Too quiet. We walked side by side, but not together. "How long are you staying?" she asked. "Long enough." She nodded slowly. Her hands were in her coat pockets now. She used to do that when she felt nervous. Flash. 7 years ago. Same hands. Holding mine. Begging me not to leave. "You're choosing him over us?" she had asked back then. I didn't answer. Because the truth would have shattered her. Back in the hallway, she stopped walking. "Why did you really leave?" she asked softly. There it was. The question that had lived between us for years. I looked at the vending machine instead of her. Some things are complicated. She let out a quiet, painful laugh. "That's not an answer." Flash. My father's office. Dark wood. Cold air. A contract on the desk. "If you stay with that girl," he had said, calm and sharp, "you get nothing. No inheritance. No company. No future." I was 24. Angry. Proud. Afraid. "And if I leave?" He didn't smile. "Then you're my son." Back in the present, Emily was watching my face like she could see the memories moving behind my eyes. "You disappeared," she whispered. "No calls. No explanation. Just gone." I thought it would hurt less that way. For who? The silence between us felt heavier than words. A nurse walked past. Footsteps echoed. Then faded. "Your dad signed it?" she asked carefully. "Yes." "To save money?" "Yes." She shook her head slowly. "People don't change." "No," I said quietly. "They don't." Flash. 7 years ago. Emily crying outside my apartment. I would have stayed with you, she said, even if you had nothing. But I didn't believe her. Or maybe I didn't believe I deserved that kind of love. Back in the hallway, she looked smaller than I remembered. Strong, but tired. You came back for him? She asked. I met her eyes. No. She frowned slightly. Then why? I stepped closer. Not touching. Just close enough for her to feel the truth in my silence. Because some debts take time, I said. Her breath caught. What does that mean? I glanced toward the ICU wing. My father thinks signing that paper protects his money. I looked back at her, but he forgot something important. She swallowed. What? I held her gaze. The company isn't in his name anymore. Her eyes widened slightly, and for the first time in 7 years, she realized. I never really left empty-handed. The ICU room was quiet. Machines beeped slowly. Steady. Cold. My father lay in the bed, pale and still. Tubes around him. Oxygen rising and falling with each shallow breath. He looked smaller than the man who once controlled everything. I stood at the foot of his bed. Emily stayed near the door. Silent. He doesn't know you're here, she whispered. I know. I stepped closer. Looked down at him. 7 years ago, I signed a different paper in that dark office. Not just the agreement to leave Emily. I signed ownership transfer documents. My father thought he was protecting his company by threatening me. But he didn't read the fine print. He transferred controlling shares to me to avoid taxes during an audit. Temporary, he said. Just paperwork. But temporary became permanent. Because I never transferred them back. He never noticed. He trusted control more than people. And now the company. The accounts. The properties. All mine. The DNR form lay in a folder beside his bed. I picked it up. Calm. Steady. He chose not to fight for his life to protect his money. But the money was already gone. I leaned closer so only he could hear, even if he couldn't respond. You taught me that everything is business, I said quietly. So I learned. No anger. No shouting. Just truth. Emily stepped closer behind me. Daniel, she whispered. I turned to her. 7 years of pain sat between us. But something else lived there too. Understanding. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you, I said softly. Her eyes filled. I left because he said he would destroy you if I didn't. Her breath broke. He would have ruined your family. Your father's job. Everything. I believed him. A tear slid down her cheek. You should have told me. I was trying to protect you. The machines continued their slow rhythm. I built everything quietly, I continued. Moved assets. Changed signatures. Waited. For revenge, she asked. I shook my head. For freedom. I placed the DNR form back on the table. He thought money was power, I said. But power is knowing when to let go. Emily looked at me like she was seeing the man I was supposed to become. What happens now? She asked. I looked at my father one last time. Now he lives with the choices he made. As we walked toward the door, I didn't look back. 72 hours later, the hospital called. He survived. But when he woke up, the lawyers were already waiting. The company was gone. The accounts were empty. The empire he protected with a signature had vanished without a fight. And for the first time in his life, he understood what it feels like to lose everything that truly matters. If you love this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more thrilling videos.